Okay, so let me just pop this on record as well over here. Perfect. So welcome to today's session. I am just quickly doing something in the background over here just to set something up with the accounts and the session. I've also just restarted NinjaTrader to make sure that everything is clear there. So that is good. And reset. 1 second. That should be it. Okay, so welcome to today's session. It is contract rollover, so I'm not quite sure how the market's going to be reacting today. For those new to the DTB system, we have a whole bunch of indicators and automated strategies as part of the package that I offer. And these are the risk disclosures for trading, which are very good to look through. And there's also a link to that on my website as well as in the video. Okay, so we will have a look at the charts. So I'll just bring up one of my charts. Okay, so this is just an analytical bar. So let me just put this to a 5-minute chart. Okay. So I'll remove these indicators that I've got on here because they are part of the complete system of tools for that DTB has. So I'm just going to remove them for right now and have a look at what the Fibonacci levels are telling us, as well as what other tools are telling us. Again, I'll just remove the shadow trading indicator, which is not part of the package that a lot of you guys are on. Okay, so let's have a look straight at the Fibonacci levels. So this is the NQ chart. If we go back to yesterday, I might just stop my video as well, just to reduce that. 1 second. Perfect, there we go. All right, so yesterday we were at, I'm just looking at the times yesterday. So we were fighting around the 76, if you remember. So the price broke through the 76, came down to the 61.8, and then actually went right down to close to the 50, came back to that 61 and back to that 76 again. So it was quite an eventful day yesterday in the market. And then today we've basically come down to the 61.8 again, now closed above the 76.4. So that 76.4, that confirmation of that breakout only happened at 8:50. So 8:50, 8:55. And if you notice on that, it was actually above the previous high where that candle was. So that was a good indication that this price is probably going to be breaking up. And that's what it's kind of done since then. So that's the NQ. Let's have a look at the YM. See what that one has been doing. So this is just purely using the Fibonacci levels. There's a lot of levels in play over there. So that's very interesting. I've also gone in and actually changed the properties of this chart. That's why the text is a bit bigger. So I just went into the properties of the chart and increased the size. So that's why we're able to see. Where did I do that exactly? I can't remember. I did it somewhere in here. Anyway, but the text on the chart is a lot bigger, so we'll be able to see that clearly today. Okay, we'll quickly look at the ES just for interest sakes and see what's happening over there. Again, so a close above the 50 happening right now. So that was a beautiful option there to also jump into a long. So that's why these Fibonacci levels are so powerful and potent. Coming close to the 61.8, so a little run to that. Okay, wait, I'm going to pull this aside and just bring up a strategy analyzer. So that's what we're going to be working on. So let me bring that up. So for today's session, we will still stick with the analytical, with the NinzaRenko bars. So we're doing the optimization. We're going to be using the 9:30 till 11 time slot again. So the same settings as we've used before. We're doing 1 to 20, 1 to 20 at setting A and B. I have on this session though going to select the trade first repaint as true and the trade second repaint as true, but the third and the fourth as optimize. I'm just making that slight adjustment today. I know before we had all of these as optimized, but what happens is that if you don't have the first repaint as true, if the signal switches over, it's not going to automatically enter into the opposing direction. So you could have a situation where you've got longer trades running at a loss. So these are just like the first signals, the first switch over signals. So sometimes it's great because sometimes you'll have one of the other signals running and then that first initial switch over might be a false breakout and then turn back the other way. And that's how you get those extra long running positions that are very profitable. So you can definitely experiment with using different values over here. But for this session, I'm going to just run true, true, and then optimize the third and the fourth signal. Okay, and let's select the date today. So we're going to be working from the 9th to the 10th. And I'm just going to select 10 results in there. Max net profit, we're still using 11 as the slippage, so keep that in there. All right, so template, save, and I'm going to call this 9 September. NQ, NinzaRenko, save. Now, there is contract rollover, so I don't normally switch over immediately once it's happened. I kind of stay onto the old one, but let's actually work on the new one, the new contract. I haven't done that before on the day of rollover, but let's work on that today and just see how the market reacts to that new contract. In fact, I'm actually going to run the old one first. So the old time first, and then I'm going to do the rollover and just see if there's any difference in the results. I know Eduardo on the call, you are on the new one. So actually, you know what? You keep on the new one. I'm going to stay on the old one and only switch over from next week. So that's often what we do. Okay.
Sure.
Much better, I think. All right, so there's the strategy analyzer, bringing up the chart. So there's been some really good action so far in the market, just in this very short period of time. And I'm going to minimize this a little bit and just bring up a trading chart. Okay, so new chart. Let's see. Just want to make sure I haven't got one open somewhere. Ah, I do actually. There we go. Right, so open up this one, and I'm going to select the account. Why is this not showing? There, I might just close this one. That's the 5 minutes. So I'm going to just shut this down for right now. Try to have as few charts as possible open. And then at least you haven't got it too cluttered. Okay, so NQ. And this is where I'm just going to create that chart. So we're creating an 11 and a 2 chart. And we are using 0 days. So that's only going to bring up today's data. All right. So that is that. I'm going to go find that setting again quickly. I think it was in the properties. Yes, it was. So in the properties of the chart, if I just make this a bit bigger, it's going to increase the size of all the text on the chart, which is good. We're still using our one test account. Okay, so strategies. I'm going to select the one that we're working on, the focus group one. Oh, hang on, before I do that, I have to save this template. Okay, great. So I'm just going to save the first template that comes up, which is a 419. So template, save, and I'm going to call that the 9 September NQ trading chart. In fact, I can rename this one over here. So 9 September NinzaRenko trading chart, save. Come to my chart on here and load those settings. Okay, 9 load. I'm not going to be enabling the strategy right this moment. I'm just checking if everything is lining up with the results. So first thing I'll be doing there. And just want to check on this quickly. So I'm not seeing a correlation between that exactly. So this is where I switch back on the chart and just look at the bar formation to make sure, or to find out what is actually causing the issue. So scrolling back on this chart, not really getting the same data. So I'm just going to check if I've got, I definitely have the right data on there with 0 days, 11/2. Okay. So what is causing that issue? Let's have a look. I'll run this one more time. It's only coming up with 1600 iterations because it's only we're using true on the first and second repaint. So that's why it takes very, very quick to run. Okay, so template, save, and we're going to go back to the 9th of September NQ trading chart and go and select that in the settings. So template load, 9 September. Okay, so something is a little bit out of whack over here. You know what? It's gone to NQ 1221. You see the contract for some reason is actually switched over. Huh. Look at that. So just by loading a different contract, that has thrown it out because I optimized on the NQ 0921 and the NQ 1221 is different. So very interesting. Okay. So looking at the results, they are very close and actually in line. So we only got another 1 minute until Q2. So I'll start the strategy from Q2 this time. So I'll just run some more optimizations and go from there. What sort of settings are you getting on your side, Eduardo? Anything different to what we're getting over here?
Slightly. Let me see. I just ran my optimization. So I wait a little bit longer. Mine is at A7B1. Because I have my range on setting A from 1 to 10, okay, and setting B to 1 to 20.
Oh, I see. You got a smaller range. Okay. All right. I got you. Okay, so I've noticed that the last few positions on the strategy analyzer were losing positions. So that's why I'm not going to activate this right now. The current position isn't, but there were a few before that were. That's what I was telling you about the switch over positions. It takes those switch over positions, and often that can be in your favor, or it can actually cause some small bouncing around of the price, and then you have some losing positions. The benefit though is you don't have these long losing positions. So you might have a few positions that bounce around, but then you have the long runners that actually, end up making up for those small losing positions. Okay, great. So I'm going to apply this setting. It seems to be perfectly fine. It's the 419. I'll run it one more just for good measure, and then I'm going to apply it to the chart. It's 946 at the moment. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so template, save, and I'm calling it the 9 trading chart like this. I always just save it again, just in case there's any difference in it. So strategy, disable this over here, and then load up the new template. The template load, choose the 9 September one, load that, enable, apply, and okay. I always quickly check the values, and then I press start. I just check that the values over here are matching. The running trades are actually matching. And in fact, those settings just actually changed. The top settings on the chart actually just changed over because it found others, they were slightly better. So it didn't go for the 419, it switched to the 1920. So we'll run that, and then we'll see how that goes. And in the meantime, I'm going to go delete those old templates for the 8th, just so I don't get confused with them. So remove, yes, and remove. So we'll wait and see if there's any positions that enter on this one. And while that's doing, I'm just going to do something over here. All right. Good. I'm just making sure that the video is actually streaming on YouTube, which it is. So that's great. Okay, so nothing yet on my side. The last positions were up there. So no positions since that has been activated. I'm going to pop on the trailing stop this time. So whatever settings you've got in whatever settings you put in your optimizer, you can actually use that. You can actually put settings in your strategy analyzer for your stop ticks and your target ticks for your trailing stop, and then it will actually activate on your next order if you click that button. And while that's running, I'm just going to run some more optimizations and just see if anything changes. So all the top settings that I'm seeing over here are all longer running positions. Yeah, so those 19, 20, 20, 20 settings are right on top still. I might as well go and look at some of my settings in my optimization and just see if there's anything that I can select in here. Maybe I can increase my range a little bit. So, I mean, you don't have to have a huge range of numbers to work in on your optimizer. But because the optimizations are running so quickly, we can actually increase those. So I'm going to just do that and just see if that makes any difference, if any other setting comes up. Because remember, for setting A, you can go between 1 and 100, and setting B from 1 to 58. So the second setting, the setting B, is a time filter. So it's working out a whole lot of parameters that are happening in the first setting. So there's a few things that have to fall into place for the first setting, and then the second setting is a time setting. So it's giving values in that first setting as well as the second one. The second one is literally only a time filter. The first setting's got about 4 other things built into it. So as an example, like there, it's given us 1734 as settings that have worked since the beginning of the session. And those are showing 100% profitability. So that's what can be done if you are increasing parameters. I can switch to that one. I'll switch to that one there. So template, save. And I'm going to call this the trading chart. Again, yes. Pausing this, go into the strategies, and I'm going to load up that new setting. So the more values that you have, or the more values that you can optimize, the better ultimately it will be, because it's doing a much bigger range of numbers that it can work with. But if your system is taking too long to run those numbers, then you can just limit the amount of iterations that it's doing, so that you're able to run it frequently and not have any delays. the good thing about this is anytime after that 9:35, 9:40, you apply these settings, you'll get the next trades that have showed to be successful to actually be working. So that's why it's good to run the optimization regularly, see which settings are working the best, and then go from there. Apply them and let it run. So we did have some big news today. So I'm just going to also open up another chart and add on the indicator for the for the economic news. And just have a look at what that is looking like. Okay, so 10:30, the next news announcement is at 10:30, and that is actually showing the natural natural gas, US 11, we've got the crude oil. So there's a few things that are happening today. And normally when these members speak, it kind of throws things up and down too. So it could be quite eventful today, especially with the rollover. So I think there's a lot of craziness in the market today. I wouldn't normally trade on a day like this. Any big news announcement today, I try to stay away from the market anyway. Okay, so let's see what this strategy is going to be doing at this brick wall. So there we go. I thought that was going to happen. So we had a switch over there, and it's gone switch over again. So we've got a buy and a sell on this brick wall. We had a breakout down, a quick up and down thing over there. So let's let this run. And while that's going, I'm going to just keep running my optimization and work from that. So I've got a trading stop on this. Did I click the trading stop? Oh, I didn't click the trading stop. Okay, so you've actually got to click the button until it shows the trading stop on there. So because I've got a wide range of numbers, we're going to find that it's going to give us settings. It's going to give us a lot more fluctuation in the settings because we've got a much larger range that we're actually working with. So, in this type of situation, you could try not change it too much. If you're seeing that your strategy is producing results, just let it run. This one, I'm a little bit suspicious of it because we've had a losing position over here and a small turnaround over there. I mean, this looked like, it was unfortunate that it came to this brick wall and switched over, but that was a very close, if it didn't come down by 4 or 5 ticks, it would have still been in that long position. But now that it's switched over to a long position, and it's bounced off that brick wall, I'm confident with this specific entry. Remember, at any time, if you just want to exit a position, you just click the pause button. And if you want to assign a ATM to an unprotected position, like we have at the moment, you can go to your positions tab, and you can click on that and go apply ATM strategy, and then you can select one on there. So like I selected a 30 and a 60 as an example. So a 30 stop and a 60 target. And then obviously you can go and move that depending on what you're seeing on the chart and what you want to do. So I'm going to just move it just below this brick wall. It'll more than likely switch over if it does break through. Hopefully it's just a bounce off this brick wall that it's coming towards. And then I'll just run the optimization in the background and just see what that is looking like. Okay, so we've had a few different positions come up. I'm looking at the orders over here, and I'm just looking at what the other trades are looking like, and a lot of these are in sell positions. So a lot of the ones in the list are in sell positions. There's only a few that are in long positions. So in that case, I'm just going to move the stop a lot closer to price, just because at least we can secure what is happening over there. I mean, we're almost up to 300, so we can start moving that right up. And let that run. I'm going to continue running the optimization and just see if that comes up with anything. But being up that much already in the beginning it's a very good a good initial move in the market. So it just shows you too, when you've optimized your strategy and you've got settings that have shown to have good results in the past, those brick walls often can be used as criteria to come in and out the market and things like that. So keep them there until you can find better settings or you see what is happening with the market. So this one here has entered 2 positions. So that is what has happened over there. It's entered 2 positions immediately. So that is a little bit odd what happened there. Looks like we had the target and the position at the very same time. So I'm not very sure about this. So what I might do is actually just close this off before any of that gets out of hand. You see, there's just been an issue with that. I'm going to just restart NinjaTrader just as a safety precaution over there. So I'm going to save the workspace and I'm going to restart. As soon as I notice any abnormality from now on, I'm just going to restart NinjaTrader, because you never know if there's any little lingering issue in play. So at least by restarting, you're freshening it up completely. Okay, so I'm just doing that. Okay. Whenever you're ready. Okay, so that's busy loading up. While that's going, how are things going on your side, Eduardo? Are you actually having some positions happening, or what's happening?
I'm $45 up right now.
Okay.
I reapply another set of settings and waiting to see what happens.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for that. All right, so everything was saved because we saved the template. So I'm just going to go now and run this again. So I'll just review just to make sure that everything was definitely there. So trend. Okay, so it's if you can get it to under a minute of running optimization, that's good. All right, so I'm going to just have a look at this chart over here. So chart. So 1822. just looking at a few of the settings. This one also looks pretty good. There's a lot more positions too. So I'm actually going to save that one. So template save. I'm going to run that one there just because it looks like it's got a bit more activity on it. And let's see how that runs. So I'm trying to get something that was similar to the other trading day when we had our runs. It was quite a few positions that were up and down, just taking, on the baseline breaks, and it was actually being, very successful. So looking at that, I can activate that. So we've got a high percentage with the last. So the heart from this, it looks like the heartbeat of the market is right, because I'm looking at all the previous trades and I'm just seeing how everything is picking up the up and the downs and that. So I'm going to just pop that one on there, activate the trailing stop for the next position that comes up, and then go from there. So looking at the 5-minute chart, we have the price coming very, very close to that. Well, it's actually reached a new high for now. So that's where it's going to be working off. There's a lot of space between where the price is now in the 76 and also the 100. So we'll be monitoring that. We're probably going to see the price come down a bit here. We've got some divergences and things happening right at this moment. So I'm going to just see what that looks like. I'll pull this 5-minute chart out the way. Let's just make sure that this thing is out the way. Come on. So we've got the trailing stop activated on this specific order. Remember, at any time you can actually deactivate the trailing stop, and then you can actually move your target and your stop. I mean, obviously you can move your target without anything impacting it, but if you don't want the price to trail, if you don't want the trading stop to do that, you can actually click on the button to deactivate it, and you just got to, and then click on it again to reactivate it. Now we have an unmanaged position right now because I had the trailing stop deactivated. So again, I can go to the positions tab. I can find that position, and it was too late because it already switched over. So it already switched over a signal on that. It picked up that there was a small switch over in price. So we'll just see what happens over here in the next few minutes. Okay, it's jumped over again. So remember in the beginning, I said that we're going to have probably a lot of little positions that are going to switch over like that. But then we're going to have those running positions that are going to make up for all of those. Which is why we don't really want a tight trailing stop on that, because we want to give that price a bit of room to move. Okay, so my analyzer has come up with other settings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this, and this will just give me an opportunity to just adjust the settings. So I'm going to go template, save, and I'm going to save that as this. And then come over here. So I'm going to be a bit more proactive during this session to update the strategies so that we are on the the current settings. Yesterday I wasn't that proactive on it. I kind of left it for the last period. Okay, so we're loading the 9th September. Okay, and we're enabling that, apply, okay, and activate. So I'm also going to just change my setting A to go between 1 and 20. Like I said, you can make it high numbers, but I want to get these optimizations run very quickly. And we'll still get very, very favorable settings in there. 26, 27, 28, 29. So under 30 seconds for the results on that, which is pretty good. We've still got this 540 coming up, which is great. So I'm going to leave it on that setting. And in fact, the 540 is coming up in a lot of the top 10 results. It's coming up 1, 2, 4 times in the top 10. So it just shows to be in tune at the moment with the heartbeat of the market. Of course, that heartbeat can change at any moment. So we've got to just keep monitoring what the price is doing and what the positions are doing. Okay, so we are coming up to news announcements in the next 15 minutes. I've got the trailing stop activated on that now. Before you get any sort of news announcements, you can also just pause and then only activate it afterwards. And if it's around the times of huge announcements, you can also just wait until those are actually done and out the way till it's stabilized a bit more. We're probably just going to have the price bouncing around a bit until they actually decide what they're going to be doing with the market once they get those results come in. So like this is pretty good. We've got a nice run in price over here, a very, very nice run. So you can, drag your trailing stop down if you want to. You can start working with that. We've had situations now where we've been 200 plus up on a few trades. Yeah, we're on the 300s almost. So you can bring that right down, but right to it. And that's that. So you can just take a few running positions, drag your stop a bit. We have a brick wall that's formed over here. So the good thing is that if the price fails at this brick wall and it switches around, it will enter another position anyway. So that's the good thing about this. And if it picks up a signal long, it will switch over too. But it hasn't quite formed a new brick wall yet. So we'll keep watching that. So good thing is that these settings are still very valid. The 540 is a good setting right now. It's still showing as very positive. So that's why I'm leaving it on that. Okay, we're in a sell right now. So like I said, you know, if the price goes up and there's another sell signal, it will take it again. I'll put center price on scale so that it can stay in the middle of the chart. So we had a sell signal there. There's a brick wall over here. So we'll see if the price bounces off that brick wall and continues down, which can often be the case. You know, you'll have the price doing a big move. They'll come back, take out some stops, bounce the price around a bit, confuse a lot of people, and then choose a direction to run in. And that looks like kind of what they're doing over there. So bringing the price down, taking out stops, bouncing around a bit. It didn't break through our brick wall from the strategy at this stage. You can also even completely limit your losses on that to just above that brick wall. But often what will happen is it'll switch a signal anyway when it switches above. So you want to give it a little bit of room to move, because these brick walls, it's basically called a stop identifier. So it's picking up where more than likely the stops are being taken out in the market. So if you notice what happened there, they came back, took out some stops, and then ran the price down. So you don't want to be having your stop too close to these brick walls, because there are points where they can come and just touch the price. The price can just come and touch those levels and then continue onwards. So a new brick wall has formed over there. So we seem to have a strategy that's nicely in touch with the market right now. It's following those ups and downs, having very, very small losing positions, you know, just literally all there, like straight positions, like almost break even positions. What we don't want to see though is the price is zigzagging and taking us out. Okay, so I'm just going to run some more optimizations. If you are more comfortable, you know, just if you've got a few positions that have had losing positions like this, like we've had 1, 2, 3 very small losing positions in a row, you could decide just to pause the strategy, run optimizations, and then come back in again once you can see a good consistent run of successful positions. So that could be another thing. And then just stay away from the actual news announcements that are happening in the market, because there's obviously lots of uncertainty around that and things happening. Okay. So the settings that I'm on are the 540s, a bit more happening over there. Let's see this one over here. 1822. So the 540s have just dropped down a little bit, and we're getting some other ones coming up. So I'll just keep on running my optimizations and just see, because we're matching up until the current price. We're optimizing right up until the current price that the market is moving. So that's why we can run regular optimization, because we're analyzing the very latest bars on the chart. So if this position goes into a negative over there, I'll definitely pause this and just wait for a few more minutes. But very, very often you'll get a little zigzag in price, and then the price is going to run in a direction. But don't always be very close to switch over. But it's obviously all dependent on what sort of account you have and what you're working with. Okay, so my 540s have come up a bit in the rankings. So I'm still happy to keep them going. All right, so that's good. I do have a very small trailing stop on here though. So what the strategy works beautifully is when you have a nice run in the price, like like the bars change color like they have, and you have a nice run, it switches over very quickly in that regard. So 5 minutes until the next announcement coming out. I didn't follow what the previous announcement, what the results were of that. That could also be what the market reacting to that still. So again, some very small losing positions over there. Definitely seems just to be a little bit of a limbo stage right now. And that's why our long running positions have come up at the top of the analyzer. So looking at a 5-minute chart, the price went and formed a new high, came and dropped to the 76.4 on the 5-minute chart. It's kind of a touched on there, and it seems to just have bounced off that 76.4. So that could be a level that you could use as your stop location. So if it breaks below that, you could do that. This looks like a nice bounce off that 76.4. So Let's see if this continues running up. And while that's going on, to run the optimizing again. Remember, at any time you can pause the strategy and capture any gains that it's had. Or you can just move your stop right up to trail it. There's a new brick wall that's formed over there. So that's often a very, very good thing to see when you see another brick wall form on a rise up in price. That means there's a good chance that this is going to be continuing onwards. And you'll notice that on a lot of the bars, if you have another brick wall form on all the settings that you have, if I'm going just back on the chart to have a look at those long running positions where that happens. So those brick walls, like over there, you can see 2 brick walls have formed. Like over there, a brick wall formed over there and over there and over there going up. So they often a good indication that this price is in for a nice little run. We have got quite a small bar size though. So, you know, we working on contract rollover, there's quite a few things in play today that are not like a little bit iffy, you know. But still some really, really good trades that we've had during the session. We've had quite a few trades go over the $200 mark. So, you know, that could also be your type of a goal. You know, you could say, I'm going to have trades run up to 200, then I'm going to pause it, and then I'm going to continue running optimizations until I find a set of settings that looks the most promising, and then start it again on that. But I think definitely when you see another brick wall form on a run up, let those ones actually run, because they definitely have the best opportunity to be a nice long running position. And if you see another brick wall, then you can move your stop below that one. So we've come right now to those announcements. That's just come out. And just see what the price does around this area. Okay, it's already switched over. All right, it's switched over on by itself. So the next brick wall is over there. Not bad. Nice little run on this one. It started off very well. Let's see if it continues. So it's definitely a less stressful environment to be working with the automated strategy and decide when to buy and sell yourself. You still got the highest chance of the positions working in your favor by, as long as you're just running your optimizations regularly, you are checking your settings and trying not to influence too much of what's happening on the chart. Just work on what the best settings are, keep applying them to your charts to try and stay in the heartbeat of the market. And if you're feeling like you're just getting a bit out of whack, just rather pause your strategy and come back later. So this setting that we're in right now is still showing to be very good. It's still coming on top of the results. So it's quite comforting when you're seeing that the 540 settings are coming high up on the list. So you know you're probably in you probably got a good setup on the go. Again, if you got small losing positions like that, I mean, that was basically a break-even trade. It was like literally straight across. We're having a little bit of that zigzagging over here, but they're not huge. The running positions have definitely made up for the small ones that have just done a bit of zigzagging. We just don't want to see that too much, obviously. So I'm just going to pause it over there. I'm just seeing a little bit of indecision over here in the market. So I'm just going to stay out for a little bit and run my optimizations and just see if I can come up with either a better setting. But this is also a good time just to stay away for a bit, perhaps. Now, if you're not finding, the best settings on in your analyzer, instead of just letting it continue running and zigzagging you out, just stay out for a bit. At least you're not going to be losing a lot during that period. And then come back when you are seeing a very nice run. Like, look at the percentage profitable on these positions. The percentages are quite low. So we've had some long running trades during the session, like long running trades. But these little zigzags is just definitely affecting the percentages. So in that case, you can just hang on a bit and just see if the market moves on from that price. We also have just passed the 1030 mark, so you can also choose to move your time to a later period. So we had from 9:30 till 11. I think at 10:45 or so, I'll switch it over to 10 a.m. But in the meantime, I'll just run some optimizations. On the chart, on the 5-minute chart, we also have had a lot of like consolidation around this area. So you can also look at that type of environment that on the chart, and you could just see, you know, there's no clear direction right now of price. It's kind of a come up to a new high, and now it's just floating around this level. So this is when you can also go and look at your other tools that you have available, and you can see what can we put on the chart to help us just give us some idea of what's happening. So we've got the trend following indicator, which is a pretty cool one to use. I will switch this over to a smaller chart, so like a analytical bars. Let's go on the 8-8, and I'll choose this as a 0. And I'm just going to switch over to a slightly different value on the trend following. So this is going to be this might be just a too low of a sensitivity. So you can change that sensitivity on it just so it gives you a higher value on that. Yeah, we're definitely at this point in time now where we haven't actually got clear direction. One of the indicators that I've got loaded on here is the shadow trading indicator, which is part of the full DTB suite. And this one gives you a lot of buy and sell arrows, actually. So these are really good for scalping. You know, we've got this momentum line that pulls away from price and acts like a magnet. So often the price will just follow that. You've got these arrows to give you a good indication of where that price is. And these arrows paint in real time. They don't show afterwards. So wherever that candle is, it's actually going to show that price on that. So even if you scroll back on the chart, I'm getting a bit of a lag again in my speed over here. I hope it's not going to be an issue going forward. But just going back on this indicator, you're going to see these arrows are going to paint, and they're going to be painting on those bars, and they're going to stay there. They're not going to show only the correct signals. They're going to show every signal, and obviously this was during the open, so that's why you have a major push, and the indicators can be a little bit out of whack during those busy times. But once the market stabilizes, you're going to start having these arrows. They're going to paint on the bar that's closing. I actually recorded a session earlier of about 4 or 5 hours showing this indicator in action. So if you look under the live section, you're actually going to see it there. I've definitely got some sort of a lag on my system. I'm moving my mouse and it's just very slow behind it. So let me just get this out the way again. So I'm logging into a VPS from Australia into New York, where this platform is loaded on. Okay, so let's keep running the optimizations. So definitely a little bit of uncertainty right now of where this price is going to be going. Could be to do with the rollover. I mean, during contract rollover, there's a lot of banks and institutions who are forced to move their contracts over to the new contract. So you get a lot of very uncertain market conditions during that time, and that's obvious because a lot of these institutions have put in orders many weeks ago, but then it comes to a contract cutoff time and they're actually forced to take the contract off their, or take their positions off the old contract and move them to the new contract. So they don't actually have an option to do that. So whether it's whether it's a losing position or winning position, they have to move it over. So you'll often, so they just either cut their losses or cut their gains where it is, and then switch over to the new contract. And normally that transition takes a few days. I don't know what sort of time span they are given to move their positions, but I would presume it will happen from today. So right now we've had a few winning positions on the analyzer. I might just take off the text. Maybe if I take off the text on this analyzer, it'll be a bit clearer. Can I do that? Text, maybe over here. Will that work? Slate gray. Okay, it takes the text off, but it takes off all the side writing too. Okay. As long as we can just see the positions being plotted, that's all we really need to see. I've definitely got a bit of a lag. My mouse is on top and my cursor is at the bottom. Okay, so again, I'm going to just run this optimizer again and just see what that's coming up with. So no real fireworks today. We've definitely had some really good positions. So anybody trading this could easily have made $400 or $500 already on this. Even just by pausing or exiting positions once they've hit the $200 mark. There's been plenty of those. Okay, so we're back on the 540s. I'm just going to actually save that. So I'm going to go template. We've only got a few more minutes left of the session. So I'm going to save it as a template and I'm going to load it onto my chart and just let it run. So hopefully we get a nice run in the balance of the session. So let's just add that on. For the last 15 minutes, we're probably going to get a very nice run. So let's do that. So template load, that one there, enable, apply, and okay. Start that up. So yeah, had we have run that, so I paused it over here, but since I paused it, we've actually had some positions that would have been successful. I will activate the trailing stop. So when the next position enters, which it just has done, it's going to enter according, it's going to work with that trailing stop in play. I mean, for some people, their goal might be to make $200 in a session. They might only have $1,000 in their trading account. And if they can make anywhere between $50 and $200 in a session, you just need a very small movement in price to be able to do that. And even if you have a small movement like this, you can pause your strategy and continue running optimizations, finding settings that are showing consistent, powerful results, and keep starting and doing that. Or just need one or two positions to run in your favor and you set. So like with this one, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically, the last 6 positions of this strategy have all been successful. And before then, very small losing positions. So yeah, it's been good. My 8-8 analytical chart is showing me an arrow down on the top of that candle. So you can also have another chart next to you like this one over here and have that as like a signal chart, and then that can be your indication or your filter to say, you know, I'm only going to enter short positions, or I'm only going to enter long positions, or you can pause the strategy once you get an opposing arrow in the other direction. So it's like little things you can do on the side, you know, if you've got all the tools available. Or you can use your trend following, your Fibonacci levels. There's quite a few things that you can be using to give you an indication of what this price is doing and where it's more than likely to be going. We're still in like a major limbo area though. We still haven't got a clear direction of price. You know, even on this chart that I was looking at right now, even on this chart, we're just seeing the price just bouncing around this area. And that's exactly what it looks like what it's doing. It's just floating around this area. So you might also wait until you have a clear direction before you start your strategy again. So it's good to start a strategy when you've got like a clear market move in play, not when it's like in limbo like this. You can take scalping trades backwards and forwards if you want to do that. I'm trying to get this, just reduce the size of this chart, and we can just look at it. So, you know, you can get to a stage where you're seeing a longer trend in a specific direction, and then using that as your long only or short only type of situation. We have something happening at 11. That's the next big news thing. So it could just be that limbo because of the announcements coming through at 11. So picking your times to trade are just as important too, because remember the strategy analyzer it's obviously not taking into consideration any news announcements and things that are coming out. It's purely looking at price action. It's purely looking at volume. It's looking at time and sales. It's looking at the formation of the bars. So obviously when you have a lot of news and stuff coming out, or important news that can affect the price, it's a good time to decide to stay out if there's no clear direction. If you've got a bad gut feel about it, then just stay out. It is nice though that we've had a few little runs in price and the strategy has picked them up beautifully. So most of these trades have gone up to the $100 to $200 mark. So, you know, everybody could really have achieved a goal today. Ten more minutes to go in the session. I haven't been running my optimizer. I was supposed to be doing that more regularly, so let me just keep doing that. Sooner or later, we're going to have a nice, long, quick run of whatever, 50, 60 ticks in a direction. And whatever the direction is, it'll be nice if we can catch that. And then you've got your, you know, $300, $400 move in price. So my settings are still coming up on the list. So I'm happy to keep that going, ongoing. been an extremely long week. So this will be the last session for this week too. That I'll be doing, but at least you guys have got some good working experience with this analyzer now and with the charts. So I think it takes a long time to really fully understand how the optimizer works, how to make everything line up perfectly with your charts. With everything, it's so vitally important to have your slippage correct. Most people would not have that correct at all. Because as soon as you're putting, like if you look at these results now, okay, have a look at these results we're looking at now. So between 1800 and 1200, if I go and change the slippage to 0 and I run this, you'll see these results be out of this world fantastic. And it's just not realistic at all. So the good thing is if you look at the trading chart itself, you should be able to match up the trading chart to the actual positions in the strategy analyzer. And there might be one or two ticks. It might be a tick out, like over there, it's perhaps one tick out. I'm not sure. Very, very, very close. But that's the only way you're going to get it as close as possible. So now look at this and look at $6,500. So that is how people stuff up with the analyzer, because if you look closely at this, if you look closely at these positions where they are plotting, it's at the beginning of the candle. You see, it's all of these positions on this of the strategy, they'll be entering at the top of the candle. So when you have 0 slippage, all these positions are plotting in the wrong place. So that's why you're going to have these results showing incredible results with $23 drawdown, $6,500 in the last hour and a half. But this is not anywhere near being correct, and it's because the slippage wasn't put in. And also commission. A lot of people leave out the commission. So, a lot of people will be showing you charts and results with extremely high returns, but they're not putting in the commission and they're not putting in the slippage. So always make sure that you put in, obviously the slippage has to match the size of the NinzaRenko bar. So if you've got an 11.2 bar, like we've got here, always make sure you've got an 11 slippage. If you're using the DTB bars and you're trading the NQ, then use a 3 slippage on the NQ, because you don't have to add the bar size to the slippage on the DTB bars, the analytical bars, because they are plotting correctly, whereas the NinzaRenko bars have a false opening price and the DTB analytical bars do not have that. So that's why you only need to add a small slippage to that. So there we go. You see, I dropped from $6,500 to $1,900. That is more realistic to what the strategy is actually doing, because these trades are matching the chart. You can see how the entries are on top of the candle, not the beginning of the candle. So again, we've only got a few more minutes left of the session, like 4 minutes. Again, it was promising seeing a brick wall over there, but it's just switched over. Okay. It's a little bit unlucky on that one. Again, we are having news in a few minutes, so we're probably going to see a lot of stupidity at the moment in the market. I will let this run just until that time, and we'll see the strategy automatically exit on session close, which is 11 a.m. according to my trading hours. So remember, we've set up the strategy to automatically exit positions at 11 a.m. So we're using the time slot between 9:30 and 11. So any trade that's open at 11 a.m. will automatically exit if there is one open, and it won't enter any more positions after that.
Well, I am halfway to my goal, Jason. So far, so good. So
Wonderful.
I'll keep at it, and let you know on Facebook how it went. But it's looking good.
Great. That's really good. Thanks for that update.
Thank you.
So 2 more minutes. Nice to see this thing give it a nice rundown, but we're definitely still in that limbo stage by the look of it until there's a clear breakout. What's our 5-minute chart saying? So our 5-minute chart, or is our 8-8 analytical chart, is showing a divergence on top, and it's showing the last signal, which is right up there. So this candle on top here, this red arrow would have formed immediately on the bar close. So right over here, that's where that candle would have. So this is basically showing divergences in the price. So so on that chart I just showed, you can also switch that over to any time frame of chart. So you could select that as a 30-minute chart, a 60-minute chart, 15-minute chart, and you can use those arrows to decide to only enter long positions or only enter short positions. So that's, yeah, that's just going a lot more in depth into the system and how it works. So something that you guys can look into another time. I know I've got some of my regular members are also watching these calls in replay, so they can get good ideas of how they can implement this effectively too. So if I switch to that other chart, I'll do that for the last minute. Look, we've had an arrow over there. So you see how we've had a cyan arrow happen right over there. So like on this strategy now, I would pause that. You see? And anyway, the strategy exited itself because it was up until trading hours. The trading hours have completed. So there we go. We are outside of trading hours. So the strategy is exited. It is not in any position. It's paused, even though it doesn't show paused over here. It actually is paused because it's saying outside trading hours, and it's not going to enter any more positions. So we're done. Okay, so yeah, keep going, guys. If you want to keep trading your system, change your templates for your strategy analyzer if you want to do that. And yeah, I think it's been a really, really good session. Some good learnings on there. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being on the call, and I shall see you next week. So I'll update the group, the Facebook group, over the weekend, and we'll get back to you next week, and we'll see what we can accomplish next week.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, thanks, guys. Cheers.